Hey, good day, folks. It's Tourism Tim here with another exciting episode of Tourism Marketing TV. And we're going to talk about how you can absolutely increase your leads and your sales online and not really spend any more money on traffic, but just earn some more business from the existing traffic. The sad truth is that the vast majority of you are losing over 95% of the available leads that are coming to your site are coming and going, and you're never capturing them, and often forever. Today I've got with me from you're over in Ireland today. We've got Scott Petoff with Booking Counts, and I met Scott recently, and I was impressed with his understanding of the psychology of travel shoppers, and that there was this we really both understood this funnel we're going to talk to you about today, and we're going to give you some very specific tips that you can use to improve your online marketing right now and capture a greater percentage of your leads. But Scott understood this at a level that most people don't, and I said, gosh, Scott, this is great. We ought to get together and talk about this and share it with our audiences, and in the hopes of helping you all book some more trips. So on that note, good morning, Scott, or good evening, Scott.
Good morning, Tim. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Great. Why don't you just give a quick snapshot to the viewers who you are and a little bit of your background and interest in this topic.
Sure. I run a company called Booking Counts, but I've been planning trips online since the very beginning of the internet. My degree is in psychology, in business psychology, so I've always been focused on how people think, how people shop, and I'm also a software developer as well. So I've been involved in travel businesses as well as software startups for years, and I've been booking trips online and seeing the evolution of how travel websites have gone from brochureware, where a website is just a static image, to where people are optimizing for every possible travel booking experience. And when I started up my latest venture, Booking Counts, I realized there was an opportunity to help businesses, independent tourism businesses, that are having trouble converting leads to customers to get more business, because there's so many opportunities for travel with the internet being, wide open 24 hours a day, but so much opportunity was lost when people get to a website and they don't book travel right away, which is, 97% of the time people don't book travel on their first visit to your site. So I've explored ways in which we can increase that, and I developed technology around that, and that's what we're going to talk about today to help give you some ideas of how you can make sure that you make those improvements to the middle of the travel funnel. Not the how do you get more traffic, not how do you get more bookings, but how do you start a conversation with people and get them moving towards knowing who you are, why you provide the best travel products and services, and why they should book with you, whether it's now or later.
Thank you, Scott. And not only are we going to just touch up, what we're going to do, folks, today is that both Scott and I, when we looked at an outline for this, I realized, God, my gosh, this is so much stuff. This is a little bit more. This is the psychology of travel marketing, and it's so deep. So what we decided is today we're just going to give you an introduction to this, in hopes that you can start understanding on a better level what is often referred to as the sales funnel, and the key, the top, the middle, and the bottom, what they represent and why it's really important to you. And so Scott's solution with Booking Counts is really one of 9 quick things, tips that we're going to give you, that just a quick overview that you can start thinking about, and some of them you can absolutely start implementing tomorrow. So on that note, I'm going to bring in an infographic for this when we're talking about it. But on that sales funnel thing, imagine, folks, a big giant funnel, and in the top of that funnel is all the leads coming into your website, and it can be from organic traffic, it could be from pay-per-click, it could be from articles, it could be from a YouTube videos, and it goes social media, it goes on and on. It's all available traffic, and then at the bottom of the funnel, so you go down, what you're hoping is that a percentage of those people end up as clients, bookings, and such. So it's the middle of this where people are where you can actually turn these people who are just visiting your site, where you can get them to stay longer in your site, where you can get them turn you've heard me say many times again, turning strangers into friends and friends into customers. So this is the turning of the strangers into friends, because people do business with friends. People do business with people they trust. And this is about establishing trust, credibility, and starting that conversation that Scott talked about because, your trips, and I'm talking to you out there, folks, your trips, a lot of them are exotic and big and bucket list trips or are on the side of the other side of the planet. And, people aren't booking overnight. People aren't booking immediately. They have to think about it for a while. So let's, before we get into the funnel more or some of these tips, let's talk about some stats. Now, Scott, you sent me some really cool stats that you had gotten together because what I wanted to look at, what is the industry average that have been tracked of leads, top of the funnel, that came out the bottom of the funnel into sales. Now, these are mostly having to do with the hospitality industry and hotels because they're the ones that have been sophisticated enough to track this historically and have been online longer. So why don't you talk about, let's kind of go back and forth on these different things. Why don't you share a little bit about the European Travel Commission and what they discovered, which I found was interesting.
Yeah, it's amazing. There's a lot of data out there, and like you mentioned, it's mostly hospitality, but you have to look at a starting point, and their study across multiple countries, across the travel industry, has shown that people don't book travel, obviously, on the first visit to your site, and I've quoted statistics of 96, 97% of people don't book when they get to your site, so you're losing all that traffic to someone else, perhaps. But the European Travel Commission did some interesting studies showing that people don't book for a number of important reasons. They mentioned 14% of people are still looking and not sure yet if they want to book, but they're interested. So they're a warm lead for you. They're not sure yet because maybe they got to your site first. Maybe they want to look at 3 other tours or talk to their family or wait till they get home and think about it some more. Some people ran out of time. They were, maybe looking to book travel. They needed to get to work or take care of their family. Other people needed more information. 5% of people said they needed more information, and maybe you weren't providing it on your site in an easy-to-download or extract format. So there's ways to address all these reasons why people might get to your site and not book right away. But the key is to make sure you don't lose them and have them forget to come back. Because if they stop by your store and you're out of a product or you're not at the front desk waiting to answer their questions, you don't want them to keep walking and never return. So you want to give them some kind of connection to say, here I am, I'm somewhat interested, but I'm not ready to book now. What can you offer me?
Right.
And that's what came out of that study, and it's very interesting to see.
On that, I added this to the notes that Scott had sent me that I feel, it's my experience, is that in order for someone to start that relationship with you, it really trust has to be established, credibility has to be established, and I'm not going to go into that because I've done many shows on this, and I will continue to do it in the future. And I'll reference it on the blog posts. I'll give you some links to how to create a travel website that sells. But either way, you still have to have the mechanics for people to connect with you and to start that relationship. Let me quote a couple other quick stats here. There was a Google blog suggested, I'm looking at my notes on the side here, folks, and hey, I didn't mention this. Bear with me, folks. I have got a sinus headache and sinus pressure, and Tourism Tim is just not 100% today. So if I seem, I just had spacey, that's why. I'm going with that excuse. Okay, so what Google's blog said is that it visited the top 20, that consumers visited 20 travel sites before booking. 20. And I'm not surprised. And then, now remember, this is mostly, a lot of this is having to do with hotels. And it said it took 29 days from the initial visit to the first transaction. They did 12 searches, 22 sites, 29 days. And I added, for many of you who I know are watching this who are selling those exotic big trips and expensive things, or it takes more time, that it takes longer. I've seen sales conversions from that, turning that stranger into a friend and friend into a customer, take as long as 6 months, a year, 2 years. So you want to be able to stay in touch with them. A couple more real quick ones here is that this was having to do with Google AdWords. Some of you are buying traffic, and that the text ads. And this was pretty interesting. Is that people who found your travel website through AdWords, the contextual ads that you can buy, only 1.5% of the ads that were clicked actually yielded a sale, and if it was a display ad, a double that, 3%. So once again, there's that 97% or worse that you mentioned earlier, Scott, and it's a huge. Now you're talking about real expense. You spend a lot of money to get anywhere from 97 to 98.5% of those people. That was wasted money. What if you could capture just a small piece of that? So why don't we just instead of getting into more stats, which we have, and we'll share those later, maybe on the blog, is let's talk about that middle of the funnel. What, from your perspective, Scott, when you think about the middle of the funnel, what are some of the let's go down that list of 9 items, and maybe we'll go back and forth on them. But let's talk about how we can start establishing those relationships, how to start turning those strangers into friends. So, from your perspective, what do you see as the kind of first steps?
Well, once you start thinking about the issue of turning strangers to friends and capturing those leads, so it's basically turning website visitors to a warm lead or a prospect, or you can look at it as an opportunity, which is a great way to look at it. They're an opportunity to get a new customer. So you want to make sure you have whatever mechanism or method or technology that's preferable to that visitor so they can start that conversation. So the obvious way people have been doing recently is social media. Lots of websites have these social media widgets where you can share with a friend and share online and post your pictures to different websites. And everyone's seen these, whether it's Facebook or Twitter or Pinterest. And they're all great ways. Some people prefer to use those technologies, and it starts the conversation. It doesn't put your travel business in charge of the conversation because you're just letting them share the information, but it's one small step they can take to say, this is an interesting tour package or travel company or hotel, and I want to take it a step further and then keep this information going into my stream or into my friend's visibility so I can discuss it later on.
And that was number one of our 9 tips, but so it was social bookmarking widgets, and another cool aspect of that is so you're giving people an opportunity to connect with you and to start that conversation. But if you have on your website, folks, if you've seen it on my website, Travel Business Success, many out there have it, where they've got the like us or become a friend. And if you look on there and you see, wow, this business has got 5,000 likes on their fan page, as opposed to if you got there and they've got 2 and they're hoping for their 3rd friend. What does that say to a travel consumer? So if you've got quite a bit of friends or likes on your fan page or in your social media or your Google Plus, you really need to leverage that. So you're doing 2 things. You're doing credibility, which is going to actually help increase the opt-in, and 2, you're going to give them an opportunity to connect with you there. Number 2, and we'll go back and forth in this, Scott. And
you make an excellent point about the credibility and the trust. That's key, and then that's a good point to make, because when people see that you're an established business and you have customers and you have people that like what you have to offer, that sells itself. I mean, that's gold. So that's a good point to make.
Yeah, and once again, as a precursor to all of this, we're talking about tools and strategies and technology that helps people connect with you. But if you don't have that trust, if you're not establishing them very quickly, the majority of people that's where that 97% of the people who come and go never stay. That's the lost opportunity. And so we're going to help you close that opportunity gap. So number 2, very obvious, email contact forms. You need to give people an opportunity if they've got a question they want to reach out to you. You got to make it really simple. Don't hide the darn link. And the tip I want to share with you is that make the form very, very simple. There's been all kinds of scientific studies, and many of you know I have a strong background in internet marketing, and they have proven that if you just limit it to a name and email, or name, email, and maybe even first name, and one question, your rate of people filling that out goes up exponentially. It makes a huge difference. So number 2, email contact form, make it conspicuous, make it number simple.
And one more tip with that, Tim, is that make sure you test your contact form on mobile devices, because a lot of people are looking at travel on mobile devices. They might be on a bus or commuting or at work, and they might want to contact you. And if they click on that link to an email button, it might not open up the right application on their mobile phone, on their
Really,
smartphone.
really, really good point, and that's a whole nother huge
That's
topic.
yeah.
We're gonna. But thanks for sharing that. That we're gonna get into it at a later time. Is I'm gonna start preaching mobile, folks, and so watch out. It's coming. It's here already, and we need to be doing it. Number three. I added this, but do you want to speak on number three, the request for information or call now, or shall I?
Sure. I think number three, the request for information, is probably the easiest and most powerful tip to offer today. Is that you can create a simple form that says, "Send me a brochure," or "Send me something about your tourism products, your tour packages," and it's the simplest way. You can just put a form on your site, and you can manually respond to those emails and include an attachment of a brochure or just general information that you have to copy and paste into an email that just starts a conversation. You don't want to make it where they're signing up for a mailing list. You don't want to make it where they're going to be inundated with calls and emails. It's just a simple, "Hey, I want a brochure of yours. Would you send it to me?" And obviously, a long time ago, people would send out physical brochures at a huge expense. Today, it costs almost nothing to create a contact form on your site that says, "Send me a form, a brochure," and then you just mail it out through email. It costs zero, pretty much, other than your time to nurture these leads and start a conversation going.
Yeah, really good point. I cannot believe it that my timer's gone off already. Well, we're just going to blaze on, folks. We got such good stuff. You have to stay with us. Well, and one last point on the request for information. Hey, what about a call now button? Not to put your phone number in a conspicuous place and ask people to call. My brother Kevin with Bahar Ventures is brilliant at converting strangers into bookings if he can engage them on the phone, because he can find out what their needs are, and he can. I consider sales a transference of enthusiasm, and he's really enthusiastic about the very cool Baja trips he does. So hey, make it obvious and easy. Also, I've done some websites now where I've had a Skype Now button. I've put that right in a conspicuous place. Click it, people can call. People want to know that you're a real person and you're a real business. And you don't just say call now to book. It's like call now for availability. Call now for free information. Let's move. Let's you got something to say? I know.
All I was going to suggest is that you want to give people a secondary call to action. This all comes down to the call to action is book now. You want people to make a reservation now, to book now, and that would be the greatest thing ever. But most people aren't going to book now. So you want to give people a secondary call to action, which is get in touch now, start the conversation now, request some information now, talk to me by Skype now. Whatever it is, just do something now that just starts the process without any pressure.
Yeah, right, and that's a good point. And I have to make one more point on this, because I look at my notes and go, oh yeah, that's a good point. If you're asking people to call you, and either you don't have good language skills, you don't have interpersonal skills, or you don't have good phone sales skills, because this is a skill, folks, that you can learn and hone, or your staff doesn't, then I would encourage people to call. You need to make sure that you're solid there, because you don't want to have the relationship starting to peak up, and then they call you and they start losing trust with you. So, number 4, the freemium. I've talked about this a little bit before. One of my associates and someone who bought my course a while ago in Florida, I've lost your name at the moment, told me about this word freemium, and I define it as targeted, useful information, tips, and advice on a topic that you're an expert in, that you can share, that your target prospects will find useful or helpful. So if you're a expert sea kayaking guide and you happen to be in the San Juan Islands of Canada, and people who are coming to your site, they're interested in kayaking, they're interested in your area, you share with them some of the top tips, some of the top advice. Give them your best stuff for free, whether they book with you or not. This is about being helpful, sharing your expertise, establishing credibility, starting that relationship. Why do you think I'm doing this video for you today? Why are Scott and I doing this? Why do I spend so much time writing blogs and putting out videos? It's because I want to help you be more successful in your business. And I want you to understand that I and my guests and we have information to share, and I want to establish a relationship with you so that at that point in time you might decide you want more help, and you know who to call. So. That's kind of what a freemium is. There's a lot of different ways to do it. The way that I suggest you look at this is think about the frequently asked questions that you most commonly get, and look to answer those, and then you'll know that you're addressing your customer's primary needs. And you need to make this form highly conspicuous and super simple. Name, email, top 10 tips to the secret spots of the San Juan sea kayaking areas. Here's the top 10 tips to the hidden secrets of Crete and the archaeological digs that people won't see. You're creating like a mini report, and I'm not going to talk about techniques of how to deliver it or how to write it, but I'm just brief overview. Any comments on freemiums, Scott?
Oh no, I think that's another excellent example of ways that you can create your own information that's useful to people and get another benefit that you didn't mention, which is search engine optimization benefits. If you have a report on the best ways to plan your vacation to South Florida, if someone's searching for vacations in South Florida, they're going to find your website with your report on how to plan a vacation and how to pick the right beach resort, say, for example. And then obviously they'd be at your hotel site or resort site, and they'd find information about it, and they would trust you as an expert. Or if you're a travel agent focusing on that area, another example of ways you can show expertise as a travel agent who plans vacation packages in certain parts of the world, to put out information that's free and requires no obligation. Again, this is just a way to say, I want some information. I'm not going to put your name on a mailing list or start marketing to you. It's just a one-time only transaction, but you'll hope they'll come back to your site and see that you're an expert in something that they're interested in. And their vacation dollars are worth a lot to them. So they don't want to waste their time and vacation dollars on someone who's not knowledgeable about the place they want to go to with their family and with their friends.
Well, Scott and I might disagree on this point a little bit. Yes, you could do it. Say, we won't send you any other stuff on our trips. But I think it's about capturing that lead and slowly developing that relationship over time. Whether you send them other tips, you add them to your newsletter. I put in there, that we'll send you the special report and other useful information that will relative to our area or region or sport. So I think it's an opportunity to continue your marketing. But you guys know me; I am a marketing dude. So that's what I do.
And we can definitely have a whole other conversation about opt-in email marketing in itself. So I think that would be a great topic.
The freemium and just how you do it and tactics and strategies. That's a whole course, folks.